everyone, I'm back again, and today I'm always grateful to have you guys tuning in for today's message, because today I was actually supposed to be interviewing the incredible Catherine Woodward Thomas, who is a very special individual. If you guys don't know her, you definitely will want to know all about her work, particularly if you want to succeed in the realm of intimate relationship. But today, it just didn't happen. I went to bed last night and I just had this feeling, I think I should follow up with her assistant. Just, some things I'm just going to follow up. And I did, and lucky I did, because I woke up to a message from her assistant, and she'd made the mistake of booking it in for next week, not this week. So that's why I wasn't actually able to interview her this morning for you guys. So I'm going to talk in the realm of relationship to kind of make up for it in the meantime, but she'll be on the show next week where her assistant has put her. So I have to do some rearranging, but hold tight. It will definitely be worth it for you guys. But today I want to talk about a particular topic that I've been talking about in my personal life recently. And it's really got me thinking a lot. And I want to share some thoughts with you guys, and in the hope that it helps you to not only have the love in your life that you would desire, and not settle for anything less, but also have this really key distinction that will make or break the potentiality of that relationship. So very excited to dive into this one with you guys. So today it's all about, to make or break, the make or break of your potential of relationship. It all comes down to this. Do you treat love as a feeling or as a commitment and a choice? All right, so that's what we're going to dive into today. And it's going to be an interesting one because from my own experience and my own research and work that I do in the realm of relationships and all the coaching I've done with couples and individuals on relationships over the past 7 years, I feel like, I still could not give you a black or white answer about what we're going to be talking about today, but it is a fascinating conversation, and one in which I really do feel will make or break the longevity of any relationship based on this. And of course, you guys know I'm going to share my own personal experiences. So, and I'd love to hear from you guys as we, so play along at home. And as we go through this conversation, I'd love to hear your experiences, your perspectives, and let's dive into it. So let's look at it. Like on face value, what's your choice there? Like, what do you think love is? Do you believe love is a feeling, right? Like you get this feeling and you fall in love with this person and you go on that realm of like the feeling? Or do you feel like it's a choice? I'm choosing to love this particular person based on what I'm seeing in them and maybe what I can see for a potential future? Or is it a combination of both? And I actually think that it is a combination of both, and I'm going to talk about why that's even important to even think about. But basically, let's paint the picture of what normally happens in potential new relationships. So we fall in love, right? We have this feeling and we just want to express it like, oh, I love this person. And that's what most people rely on, and they let that sense of feeling of love determine the course of their relationship, right? They fall in love, they can see no bad, they can see just all this brilliance, all this greatness in this other person, and they can envision how much their life is going to be better having this person a part of their life, and so they fall into those in-love feelings, right? Which is beautiful and a great part of intimate relationship, right? But the people who stay believing that love is merely a feeling are the ones who run the normal course of relationship, not the best course, just the most common course, which is, well, I used to love them. I don't have that feeling of love for them anymore, right? Times got tough, things changed, there were conflicts, whatever, and that feeling of love just dissipates. And that's why we get that terminology or that thinking in modern day society, which, the honeymoon period, right? And then it fades. And then, and then it's all kind of downhill after those in love feelings. But that's not your potential in relationship. And let me tell you why. Because that feeling that you get of love when you meet somebody or you've been connecting with somebody, it's really merely an indicator of the potential that you could have in that relationship, in a loving relationship. And like the work really doesn't start in terms of having an exceptional quality of relationship until you get beyond just the mere feeling of love and not letting that feeling of love be the dictator of the potential of the relationship, but instead you see that feeling of love as an indicator for potential, right? And then what you need to do is make a commitment. It's kind of, you get to this point, right, where it's like, okay, now is a time where I'm like, okay, that feeling of love, it's like, and then maybe some challenges come into play or some question marks. And then you're like, okay, am I going to make a choice to go further with this person, or am I going to make a choice to leave this person alone, right? And they can go on their own path and I'm going to go on a different path. And it's at that choice point, right, that you need to make a decision and a commitment as to whether or not you're going to choose to be committed to love, right, with this particular person. And I'm going to unpack why you'd even want to do this, right? And in terms of you guys wanting to reach your potential in the realm of intimate relationship and love and depth and all that greatness, rather than succumb to normality, which is, the high of the beginning, and then it's just kind of all downhill from there, and then just people settle in their life, right? And have a lot of resentment and all that bad stuff that we don't want, right? So basically, I've heard that you would have heard this term before, like that love is a choice, right? And it really, really is. But there's a difference between you choosing every day, like maybe waking up every day and going, I'm going to choose to love my partner today, right? Yep, it's my choice and I'm going to choose to love my partner today. Versus a commitment that every single day I'm choosing love. All right, now let me unpack what the difference is, because it sounds like they're the same thing, but they're not. If you wake up every single day and you're guided by your feeling of love, you're going to have a fluctuating relationship where one day you're really committed to loving this person, and then the next day you're not really feeling it, and you're creating this kind of roller coaster of relationship. Now, why we don't want that is because that creates insecurity, an instability in the relationship, an up and down, hot and cold, that roller coaster way of being in relationship, which we've all experienced, right? Because most of us feel like love is a feeling, right? And so that's how we treat our relationships. But let me tell you, despite popular belief that, that the roller coaster, the mystery, the uncertainty, that's what makes all the relationship juicy. Let me tell you this, that might end in a lustful connection, right? In the beginning, right? But if you're looking to reach your highest potential, you want to look at the longevity of a relationship, right? And so if you have insecurity, instability day in, day out, dependent on how that person is choosing to feel or how they feel, and then basing their feeling on their level of commitment in a relationship, then you're going to have a very insecure dynamic in which both people, right, don't feel safe enough to be all of who they are, right? Because the rug could be pulled out underneath them at any given moment, depending on the other person's feeling in the moment, right? And every day. And so what that does is that's ultimately the reason why our relationships on the larger scope have the honeymoon period, and then it's all downhill. Because what happens is, because they're treating love as a feeling, and feelings are fleeting, every single day is a fluctuation in the feeling of love, and they're being guided by the feeling rather than a choice and commitment, then what happens is, over time, people are just terrified to be all of who they are. They don't know whether they can trust that this person is going to be there for them tomorrow, or next week, or next month, or next year, right? And the instability makes people retreat into their armor. and they give when they feel like it's like a give and take kind of dynamic. Like, oh, I'll give you a little bit, but this is vulnerable and scary because I don't know how you're going to feel tomorrow. And you know, oh, and you gave me a little bit, so maybe I'll come up to that level with you. And it's just like this game that people play, a self-protective, disconnected game, right? And basically what that does is that limits people from expressing all of who they are on a physical, sexual level, on an emotional level, on a mental and spiritual level, all of it. It gets kind of suppressed, and it's like it's dictated by how we feel our fleeting emotions every single day, right? So if you look at it that way, and if you unconsciously feel love is just a feeling, right? And I'm either going to feel in love or I'm going to fall out of love. I'm not going to love or I'm going to hate, right? We just think of it as a feeling, a fluctuating way of being. Then what we're doing is we're creating a really insecure relationship, one in which people don't show up as all of who they are. They feel restricted and repressed because they can't be all of who they are. They're trapped in their own sense of self-protection. They disconnect, and then they feel like they're just roommates, or they just feel like they're just getting by in this dynamic, and it's never taking them towards the highest heights that they could actually experience in intimate relationship. Now let's look at the relationship and compare and contrast it if these people decide consciously to look at that in-love feeling as an indicator of possible potential, and then they're at choice point. Do we want to move toward that? Is this indicator of love is just a starting point, right? And we can know that that feeling is fluctuating. If we choose to move forward, that guaranteed there are going to be times when we feel totally in love, and then there are going to be times when we feel like we hate the other person, right? That is just natural for human beings, right? Because we're not the same person. We're all different. We have all these different things. And in fact, we want those differences to challenge ourselves to expand as human beings, right? But most people don't look at it that way. But if those people do, and they realize, okay, this feeling of love I have for this person is an indicator for potential of an intimate relationship. I'm at choice point, they're at choice point. Now we need to define what would it take? What would pull us through all the hardship, all the hate, all the challenges that are inevitably going to be experienced between the two of us if we committed to a long-term relationship? What would be enough that would inspire us through the darkness? That would be enough to pull us through rather than make us get to any challenge and then just want to retreat, run away, think it's wrong, and go and find another person to repeat the same old pattern with, right? That means those people who choose to acknowledge consciously that love is not just a feeling, it is also a choice, but you also want to make that choice be something that has longevity, right? It's a long-term commitment that you're going to not just show up each day and go, yeah, I feel like I'm in love with this person, I'm going to continue this. It's more of I've committed to a long-term vision and vehicle of love and that's, you know, also the other person is fully committed to as well. You're both so inspired by it that it would pull you through any challenge. And that means that each day that you have a choice for love is not based on feeling, but based on a commitment to a vision that you've actually created that would be inspiring not only to yourself, but the other person. So it's not about that person being committed to love you, or you being committed to love them. What it's really about is a commitment to co-create something that is much bigger than just the two of you, right? It's more inspiring. It's not about you getting something and them getting something, or you giving something and getting something. It's more about what are we co-creating that we couldn't create just merely by ourselves. And it's not something that's just based on fleeting emotion. That emotion, we're going to harness and we're going to leverage that. But ultimately, we're committed to a vision that we're both inspired by, that we can clearly see would move both of us towards the kind of life and the kind of people that we would want to be as individuals and together, that we would be super proud of ourselves for way down the track, right? And what that does, if you remember back to the normal relationship dynamic where it's unstable, right? And it's just based on the feeling of the day. And you can't create that safety and that security in the relationship, and therefore people close down and close off and withhold from each other physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. What the other type of relationship does, when there is an acknowledgement that love is not just merely a feeling, but actually a commitment to a vision and a co-creation as a partnership here, what happens is, in that choice to choose to love and find all the reasons why I love this person, why this relationship helps me become the best version of me I can possibly be, all of those things, it's just a reminder each day. That's the choice to love. It's not based on feeling. It's based on, I'm going to consciously choose and to remind myself as to why I committed to this relationship in the first place, how it best serves me and them in the best way possible that I couldn't necessarily get to within just living by myself or even with another person, right? It's all that conscious choice to get ourselves to focus on all of those reasons why. And basically what that does, when you have that level of commitment in relationship, that is actually what unlocks all the juiciness in relationship. Because when people feel secure in a connection, they're not questioning and second guessing and then like basing it on fleeting emotions, but they've actually consciously chosen something and outlined something that really inspires them, and they know that person is just as committed, and it's so inspiring to both of them that they know and have experienced that all the challenges, that vision pulls them through, right? And that they don't have to worry about there being a conflict or a challenge or of any variety that is going to just make or break the relationship, because now there's something bigger at play. Now the two individuals in that quality of relationship have this sense of freedom that gets unlocked, this sense of personal liberation that we all long for, to be all of who we are on every level. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of it, right? Now, that is the quality of relationship. I'm not willing to settle for any less than of that, right? And I haven't experienced that. I'm just going to be straight up and honest with you, right? I've experienced a lot of good quality relationships and, breaking through challenges and all of that stuff. And I've also, started in relationships that were totally on those in love feelings, and then no clarity of vision whatsoever. Just, what it feels good on the day, right? And I know what happened for me on a personal level was I always just longed to find somebody or have my partner just make it okay for me to be all of who I am. Make me feel like I'm safe enough to be all of who I am. And I was not searching, but I was waiting. I'm more of a waiter than a searcher. Some people go out and search for love. I'm more of a waiter for love, but that's another story. But basically I'd wait for somebody to come along to be that person who could make it safe for me to be all of who I was, right? Not knowing that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, right? And I'm the one to make myself feel safe in relationship, and I have to be willing to risk, my safety in order to put my trust in somebody else as well. And basically where my safety and security would come from is in a vision that's been clearly defined, that's based on what authentically inspires me, and finding and having a partner who is in total alignment with that. Like, we're co-creating something that genuinely, authentically inspires both of us, right? It's not my vision, it's not their vision, it's our vision. It's something separate than just us. It's like a third entity of a relationship, right? And I've done a lot of study and work, and I continue to do in this area. And the reason why is because it's been my experience, and it's a real, knowingness within myself, which is who you choose to be in partnership with in this lifetime has the potential to make or break you self-actualizing in this world to your highest potential. And not only that, like if you can master the area of intimate relationship, it is the vehicle that will allow you to access your highest potential and self-actualize yourself at the highest capacity in this lifetime. Because as we know, we can do more with others than, we can go further with others than we can alone, right? And at this point in my life, I would much rather, based on my own experiences, and I know how the wrong relationships can absolutely cost you on really meaningful levels, and particularly I know myself and how invested I get in relationship, right? I've reached a point in my life where I'm happy to just totally stay single until I meet the right person and we're in total alignment, right? And we share what I've just shared with you guys because, not many people think this way, right? It's, and I'd love to hear from you guys about what your thoughts are on, what we're discussing about today. Like, do you feel like what I'm saying rings true for you in terms of love, not just being a feeling, but it's also, it's a commitment to a choice, right? In the long term, we have to have a commitment to something bigger than just our fleeting emotion of the day. In order for that love to be sustainable, to create the container for you to have that experience of true total liberation and depth of intimacy with another, right? And to reach your potential together, right? Doesn't that inspire you, to have a quality of team that would, feel like you're propelling each other forward, not limiting each other, right? That's where the first style of love comes in, which most people are caught up in. And it's a scary place to be in that quality of loving relationship, right? And like I'm saying, don't get caught up in thinking that, security kills intimacy, because it's the opposite, believe me, right? Like if you create a safe container of security where you're both in alignment with a vision that equally genuinely inspires you to the level of your soul, right? If you have that kind of container and security in that relationship, you have just created the space for you to not only be free and liberated within yourself, but to be able to be free and liberated with another human being and see what's possible in that pathway forward, rather than go into relationship based on a fleeting emotion in the beginning that hasn't been mapped out or hasn't been clarified about what you're inspired by or where you want to move to. And therefore it's this rocky road of challenge, just throwing the relationship out the window. And then you don't feel secure enough in that connection. You don't feel like you can trust that person enough because it's more about they're in it for them and you're in it for you. There's not this third co-creative, third entity that's what builds trust, right? Think about it this way. Like, we trust people when we can know that we're both committed to the same things, right? And we don't trust people when we just feel like they're committed to just looking after themselves, right? We feel like we have to protect ourselves from somebody like that. And we be like, we better look after ourselves, right? So we don't want that, because that's not a team. That's not going to get you any depth of intimacy. If you just want to have an ordinary relationship, sure thing. That's what most people are doing. But if you are committed to exceptional in all areas of your life, then this conversation is one that we definitely need to have. And I'm really inspired by having this kind of conversation. So you guys know I could go on all day long, and particularly in this realm. So I'd love to check in with you guys. So drop me a comment. Let me know where in the world you are tuning in from. And have you got any questions or comments or words of wisdom or experiences you want to share or questions that you might have on all levels? I love getting to connect with you guys. So let me check in. And Darren, I think it's a combination of both. Falling in love is often a strong sense of lust. Yep. I believe lasting love has the strong feelings of falling in love, but also with a sense of contentment and trust being with each other. Absolutely. I love that, Darren. And yeah, absolutely. You know, those in love feelings, like I said, they're just an indicator as to the potential that you can have with that person, right? But then it comes down to like a commitment and a choice, and then not just a reliance on the mere feeling. Because my definition of being in love with somebody is, seeing that there's a vision, right? Your life is going to be enhanced and better based on having this person in it. And the falling out of love is not having a vision. Like, you can't see like how that person is enhancing your life, right? In fact, you fall out of love because you're seeing all the negatives. And like, guaranteed, all our biology wants to keep us at the beginning of a relationship just seeing all good, right? And geared for procreation. But that's why that fades off, and basically then we're left seeing the individual as the whole. But because we've put them on a pedestal and seen only good and all the great things, when we see the bad things come up, we don't just put it into equilibrium and we go, okay, I choose to fall in love with the person as they actually are and own that I'm both sides as well. Instead, it's like this stark contrast from this all perfect being to seeing some negatives. Whoa, like, that's out, right? Like, I don't like this person. I made a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking, all that sort of stuff. And that comes from the fleeting emotion. So I love your perspective there, Darren. Thanks so much for sharing. And Tim's in the house, and Bill, good to see you guys. And Bill, hello at an Eagles concert on the beach. Watch later, shine on. I love it, Bill. Thanks for checking in, and I hope that's tons of fun. And I know I'll be seeing you this weekend. All you guys in the Limitless Potential Academy, we've got our next Inner Circle catch-up call happening on Sunday, Australian time, Saturday for most of you guys who are in the States. So hope to see you there, Bill. And Laura's here as well, and Kane and Tara and Ty and Indy. Good to see you, beautiful. And I'm loving that this message today is resonating with you. And Tim, inspiring clarity, courage, and insights. Thank you so much, Tim. You are so appreciated. And yes, Indy, you're really in point with this today. And Tim, we want more. I love it. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate your encouragement. You go, don't test me on that. I will give all day. I would go all day on one of these lives if I thought that would be of value to people. But I love it. And Indy, from Tarpon Springs in Florida. So good to have you here, and loving that this is true for you. And Mahendra, your expression and way of teaching is really amazing. Thank you. Love it. Oh, thank you so much for that compliment. I really appreciate that, Mahendra. And thanks so much for showing up today. And Indy, I love you so much, my beautiful angel. Right back at you. You're such a beautiful soul. Grateful to be connected to you. So hope today's message just gets you thinking. Like, if you are not in a relationship, get clear on what you actually want. Get clear on a vision that you're inspired by, and don't just make it about like you finding the partner that just has this color hair and and like does this thing or whatever. Like, it's not as much about who they are as much as how aligned they are with the kind of life and purpose that you want to create, that you're inspired by, right? And all that, surface level stuff, like, it doesn't actually matter in the end. If you're looking for short-term relationship, go for what looks good, right? But if you're looking for something that's long-term that will help you to reach your potential in all areas, you need to look at the vision, and that becomes the most important thing. What do you guys co-create together? Not just a person on a piece of paper that you're imagining. So really important. And if you are in a relationship already, and maybe you're going through the throes of just, like one day I love them, and then the next day I'm hating on them, and then I'm just not sure, and I'm questioning, like, do I even want to be with this person? It is never too late to get clear on a vision that inspires you. Get really, really clear. Align it with what you value most as an individual, right? Get clear on what would inspire you to create an intimate relationship in your future, and then share that with them. you know, ideally they want to do something like that as well. Like when I'm working with a couple and they're both equally as invested, so I'm coaching them together, oftentimes that's not the case. Usually I have one side of the equation who's committed to that, so I have to work on that level. But if you both are equally committed to, you know, going the heights of your potential in relationship, then I would encourage you to go into your own zones. Go and create a vision that you're both inspired by. Don't filter it through the other person, right? Really go into this, align it with your values, and then share it with one another and see where there's an overlap and see if some of what they're saying actually inspires you and you can co-create something together. See also if you're, you know, really want to make the most of your life, see also where there's a point in those visions that totally discount each other and you're not willing to settle for that. And it might mean that you do go your separate ways, right? I don't have a scarcity mindset in relationship like a lot of people do. A lot of people are in a lot of scarcity and they're like, oh, I gotta, like if I have that in love feeling, then I gotta go with that, right? And that means that they're the one and I don't want to be alone, so I'm just gonna do whatever and like, you know, I'm gonna sacrifice these parts of myself so that I can get them or whatever. Like, don't be in scarcity with love. Love will come and go, right? If you're just operating from that feeling place, there's going to be a lot of potential opportunities for you throughout your life, no matter what age you are, no matter what you've been through. It doesn't actually matter. So have an abundant mindset on love. Create a high vision and a standard that you're totally committed to through total authentic inspiration. And don't settle for anything less than that. But also, you know, don't be rigid about it either. You're an evolving human being. That's going to fluctuate and change. And if somebody comes into your life and they have a different set of values or a different vision, be open to entertain that, right? And see if they know something you didn't know, right? And that could expand your world. So there's so much juiciness in having clarity and vision that authentically inspires you, but also an openness, not an attachment to having to have it all this particular way, but an openness to, you know, maybe when you do experience some of those in love feelings that we can have with a multitude of different people, right? It's not a scarcity feeling. It's a fleeting emotion that you want to harness with somebody who shares your vision, but you have to have clarity to even know that that could be the case. Or you realize that, you know, you could have that fleeting emotion, but if you're looking for something long-term, it might just not be the right fit, right? So anyway, like I said, I've keep going on about this one because I'm so passionate about it. Chua, I don't know how to say your name, but I'm loving that you're finding some good stuff here and you are so welcome. And Indy, so much love for you and so true and thank you. You're so welcome, beautiful soul. So that's it from me today. Just remember that this has the potential to make or break your relationship potential, whether or not you view love as just a feeling, right? Or do you view love as, you know, that in love feeling that you might get just being an indicator towards the potential, but then looking at love being a choice and a commitment that you're making based on a long-term vision, right? That you're actually inspired by. So that makes or breaks the depth and connection and potential that you get to access in any intimate relationship. All right. So make sure that you focus on relationship being a place that it's a vehicle to create authenticity, full expression of who you are and who they are, and a safe container to be able to do that so you can both reach your potential. Not, you know, most people getting all this energy charged towards one another and then closing off from one another, withdrawing and usually settling, you know, or just taking themselves to the grass is always greener syndrome and getting into a new relationship, having the highs of the beginning and then finding that they're the common denominator of all previous relationships and the current one because they find themselves in the exact same circumstance that they have with completely different people. And at some point you just have to wake up and take responsibility. So hope that that's good. And you did admirably with my name. Take care. Thanks again, Vanessa. So glad to hear that, Chua. Oh, I still can't believe I got that right, but I love having you here and I'm going to sign off. And as always, just letting you guys know and encouraging you to just go out there and live authentically. Love deeply and contribute meaningfully. That's my message as always. Hope this has helped you, and please do share it if it has been of value. And just as I mentioned earlier, we do have our next Inner Circle community catch up happening where we get on a Zoom call. We're all across the globe. That's happening Sunday this time in Australia, or Saturday for most other parts of the world. If you guys want to come and join us, you can definitely join us in the Limitless Potential Academy. Come and connect with some people who are absolutely reaching in their lives. They're not willing to settle, and they do the work, and they want to support and encourage and challenge you to be the best version of you that you can be as well. If you're interested in joining a community like that, reach out to me, shoot me a DM, and we can set you up. All right, that is it from me. Sending you guys all of my love. Thanks so much to each and every one of you guys who could join me today. And Indy, I agree 100% with everything that you say. Love it. I love that you're in alignment with all I've shared. That really inspires me and excites me, because I know that you are the type of person who will absolutely reach your potential in love, which is such a phenomenal vehicle to do so. So thanks for sharing that, Indy. Appreciate you. Sending you guys all of my love, and I'll see you tomorrow.